I feel like it's been a while for me to be in studio. I've been doing a lot of virtuals lately, and so I'm really excited to have someone back in the studio, Emmanuel Adebi. Welcome to the Intangible Podcast, my friend. I'm excited to dive into your story.
Thank you. It's been a blessing to be here. I'm grateful. I'm grateful for the opportunity. I'm excited to share my story with all of you.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Well, before we get started, man, I just so I can give our audience a little bit of background on you. You're a Division I football player at the University of Vandy. Your parents immigrated here from Nigeria. You started playing football at an early age, but what most don't understand is that you had to overcome a birth defect, which is when other people start to hear this story, they're gonna say, "Oh my gosh, this guy needs a cape. He's Superman." So I'm really excited for you to share what that is. So I'm not gonna give it away too early, but you've known for your mental grit, your mental toughness, and overcoming major adversity. Now, when you think about your story, when I think about your story, it's greater than football. It's greater than sports, and so you've been able to use football as your vehicle to live out your purpose, man. Welcome to the Intangible Podcast. Excited to dive in.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Well, what did it mean to you to work your way to becoming a D1 football player, knowing that you had to overcome some adversity?
My journey in college football actually started at Cornell University. I did my undergrad there. And when getting to the Cornell, it was just all about academics. You know, how Nigerian parents are. They're going to be like, they're harping on me, get my academics done. My brother, he went to MIT for computer science. So he set the bar pretty high when it came to just academic performance. So it was all about academics actually in high school. I played football, I played basketball in high school. But when it came to actually deciding like which school I wanted to go to, football was not the main choice, or I guess main priority was deciding where I wanted to go to for undergrad.
From a parent standpoint, football was kind of low on the totem pole.
Yes.
And so when you started to really think about football, and you started, at what point did you start thinking about football as your vehicle?
When I would say my senior year at Cornell, when I really started playing, because I started playing actually junior year, midway through the season. I got recruited as an edge, or I guess I started there as an edge rusher, and then wasn't playing mid-season due to how my coaches saw how I'd be able to perform with my birth defect. And my offensive coaches saw the work I was putting in and were like, "Do you want to play?" I'm like, "Yes." We had a blocking tight end go down, so I started playing tight end and doing special teams work as well. So midway through the season, flip side, start to learn small packages in offense, and really start playing in junior. I really start playing, getting a larger role in my senior year, and that's when I realized I was like, wait, I could really take this pretty far and really show people what God has done in my life.
What do you think people, they see you now, but what do they miss? What do you think what was that thing that you actually had to go through to get to where you are, so that you can be in a position to sit down and actually tell a story, and after you've made it and play well in a Division I?
So I think looking at my story from start to now, because it's not over yet, I think people will realize that there's a greater power at work, because being in the positions I've been in, it's not easy. I mean, no one's life is really easy, but it's not feasible with the way the ball bounced in my direction in some ways.
Yeah.
So God has done a major work in my life, and I say that with whole confidence, because there's nothing I could have done with my life that I could have done alone. None of it could have been done alone.
Yeah. What's the biggest misconception overcoming that type of adversity?
That because people look at the results, they're like, "Oh yeah, you just had to keep working." I'm like, that's not guaranteed that you get an opportunity to play.
Yeah.
It's not guaranteed that my coaches even look at me and are like, "Yeah, we could use this. Like, we could use this guy to perform different things." It's not guaranteed that the way I started playing because one of my teammates, unfortunately, he tore his ACL. But if he doesn't do that, I actually don't get an opportunity and I just stay on the sidelines.
Yeah.
Being able to really look at it in depth and looking at it from the starting point and going forward without knowing the back end is genuinely, I would say, phenomenal to really imagine, because seeing it from the starting point to the end point, or I guess to where I am now, it's amazing what God has done and what God has directed me to, the certain things that happened while I didn't know what was happening on, like, from Vandy's side when I hit the portal after Cornell, and to be able to get me to Vanderbilt. It's just genuinely amazing to me.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, take me back. I wanted to go back to your birth. What do you remember about those early on challenges? As a young kid, was there anything in your mind, in your body that you felt like you couldn't do?
So when it came to the simplest things, if you're playing like Simon Says in class, and Simon says, put both your hands above your head, I couldn't do that. So I learned from a very young age that I was different.
Yeah.
Not better, not worse, just different from everyone else. And that's a lesson I had a lot of trouble learning and accepting, strictly because I was really competitive. I always try to compete with my brother, even though he beat me in like everything. Um, but I always wondered why I couldn't do things like he was doing them, whether it was like his mental processing or how physical he was. I mean, like, he was 2 years older than me, so he would hit puberty before I would. He hit his growth spurts before I did, and I would be wondering, why can't I beat him? I'm like, well,
The little brother syndrome.
yeah, like he'd always beat me in certain things, and I'm like, it took me a while to accept that God made me my own person.
Yeah.
And had to shut some doors to really show me that he had a different plan for my life as well.
Yeah.
But back to your question, yeah, there were a lot of different things that I just realized growing up, because I grew up, learned to be left-handed, kind of forced to be left-handed, and that's just already different than most people. Most people aren't left-handed. When it came to things like Simon Says, or just doing genuine like sports work, like I started playing basketball at an early age in like middle school and elementary school, and I just couldn't really dribble well with my right hand.
Yeah.
Things like that. Like, when it came to, I couldn't really be ambidextrous.
3, 2, 1.
Parents, the recruiting process is one of the biggest decisions you'll ever face for your child. And talent isn't enough. Coaches are looking for the intangibles, like composure, coachability, communication, and leadership. And that's what Team Q measures. Get clear insights into your child's intangibles so they stand out when it matters most. Go to teamq.io and help your athlete unlock greatness.
To overcome what you've overcome is tremendous. Like, first time hearing your story, you just gave me chills, and watching you train and work out, I thought it was, it definitely has to be this, definitely a higher power working at work here, for you to be able to do what you do, and then to be able to be a light for others who may have some challenges that they don't think they can overcome. But you are a beacon of light around that. And so, I mean, you overcame, and I make sure I'm saying it right. It's Erb's palsy.
Yep.
And, for people who don't know what that is, can you give us a definition of what that really is?
So the way it affects me, because I know it might affect people differently, but the way it affects me is I have a limited range of motion and limited mobility and extension with my right arm and shoulder. So I can't put my arm fully above this is the farthest I can put my arm, like, voluntarily. Like, I can raise it like this, but I can't, like, physically voluntarily put my arm like that above this point. And there's also an extension difference. Like, there's a 4-inch difference between my left arm and my right arm in terms of arm length, because I can't extend it all the way. And then I can't, like, rotate, like, motor control. So my parents tried to get me into piano early on, and I would always get frustrated about, like, why I couldn't really pick the stuff up the way my brother could. I would get so frustrated. Oh my gosh. And my parents would say, just like comparison, don't compare yourself to anybody. And I'm like, yeah, but whatever. Like, being a little kid, being a stubborn kid, I never listened to my parents.
I don't think my kids don't listen to me. So
I never listened to my parents growing up. But like I said, it took me a while to understand that I was made different. God made me different. God gave me different strengths, different weaknesses. And it took me a while to put that into perspective. And in terms of sports, like I said, I started as a defensive lineman. Half the battle is extension, getting to extension. So, but I definitely did get frustrated, and I didn't really understand why.
Yeah. Yeah. So was there a coach or a mentor or someone in your family that showed you what could be possible?
Definitely had a bunch of different mentors and coaches that have just been around me, supporting me, helping me to develop. But in terms of like actually attacking the issue, I've been just told like, yeah, you're going to struggle. Like coaches are going to say, yeah, you're not going to be able to play because you're right arm.
Mm-hmm.
And then that did happen. But they're like, yeah, it's just going to be a harder road for you. I'm like, it's the road I've been on. It's not going to be any different than what it has been. So, but I've definitely had a lot of different mentors, coaches, my parents specifically, that have just supported me throughout everything. And I couldn't be more grateful to God that he put them in my life and then gave them the patience to deal with me. Because like I said, I was a very, very stubborn kid.
Well, when you reflect back on like those early times, was there a lesson that you had to go through that still shows up in your life today that really, really helps you, that motivates you day in and day out?
I wanted to be just like everyone else.
Yeah.
And do the same things that everyone else did. Succeed in the way that everyone else did. But what I've learned is that God was trying to show his glory through my life. And he made me like this in order to show his glory. And understanding that and coming to that realization, like I can still play football. I can play it at a high level. And aside from what I can take it as far as until God says, yeah, all right, you're done. Yeah. And no one alive, no man, no woman is going to say, yeah, this kid can't do it. Right. Like it's literally up to God how far I can take it.
Take me through what actually happened at birth that caused this condition.
So I was born about like 12 pounds a month early, about 3.5 weeks early.
12 pounds?
Yeah.
Wow.
24 inches.
Wow.
I was a long baby. And I got stuck in my mom's womb. And they were cutting her to get me out. In the process, they cut my right shoulder like 40 plus times. So for one, I shouldn't even have the arm. The fact that I have it now, like not regardless of it moving or not, is a miracle. Then to be able to move it and have as much motor function as I do have with it is another miracle in itself, because I wasn't moving it after birth for several weeks, I think several months actually. And then the doctors wanted to perform a procedure that would take ligaments in my legs and put it in my arm in order to move my arm. But that wasn't, first off, guaranteed to work. And second, it would also hinder my ability to walk. And they're like, yeah, he's not going to be able to play sports. He's not going to be able to do anything academic since I was stuck in my mom's womb. I wasn't getting enough oxygen to my brain. They were like, yeah, he's not going to be able to do anything athletic. He's not going to be able to do anything academic. And they sent social workers to my parents to be like, we can take this kid away because you're not going to be able to raise him. It's going to be so difficult to be able to raise this kid that like he's going to need a lot of special needs. So my parents were like, yeah, absolutely not. We're going to let God do his work. So I eventually moved my arm on my own, but they're like, yes, this is just a reflex. But then I did it again and they're like, how? Became more consistent. So that in itself was a miracle. And so I think throughout up until about middle school, I went to like physical therapy to get as much like movement and motion back because it wasn't um because I still was like trying to get used to it. But uh during those meetings, I've always those like physical therapy meetings, they ended up being yearly as I got older. They would bring in a bunch of like student med students in to like just look at the phenomenon because it is a genuine miracle how it works. So I was like, I guess I was looked at like a lab experiment for the most part, but it definitely came with a bunch of like self-confidence issues growing up too. I didn't like step into the weight room really until my senior year of high school, coming into college. Just because I always was afraid of how people would look at me.
Right.
And like it hindered, I guess, my ability to really grow physically, but also mentally because I would always be nervous about putting myself out there.
Yeah. How many surgeries did you have to go through to even get to the point to be able to move it? And then the follow up to that is, you know, how did you manage that going through high school and those puberty ages? How did you overcome, that sense of not wanting to put yourself out there to actually put yourself out there to get to the level that you've gotten to?
So for your first question, I didn't have any surgeries. My parents were like, they rejected them. They were like, yeah, we're not doing this because you're saying that if we do the surgery, he's not going to be able to walk or run at all. So then what's the point of it? And it's not even guaranteed that he'll be able to move his arm. So why would we do that? Let's just wait and see what God does. And then to your second point, I had a really good foundation, both with my parents, my siblings. Like I have an older brother and a younger sister. My sister, she's like about 3.5, 4 years younger than I am. My older brother is 2 years older than I am. And then my parents just consistently fed us the gospel growing up. Like always in church, always doing family prayer time, Bible readings, etc., daily devotionals. Like I said, I was stubborn and didn't really. I was like, why are we doing this? But didn't realize how much it was really helping me in building my foundation, building my confidence, building the way, building me. And going into high school, I had some good teachers, some good friends that just accepted me for who I was. And they're like, well, you can play, so just come on. We're all going to be friends. Like,
when you realize that no one really cared.
Exactly. No one really cares.
Yeah. And so try to overcome those own internal thoughts and insecurities and then everybody else just open arms and say,
exactly.
You out here, you're doing this. We're brotherhood.
Exactly.
Yeah. So at what moment did it really click for you that you really belong?
Like I went to a small school. So like if you were ostracized, like it was by everyone because everyone knew everyone's businesses. Everyone knew everyone's business. And
like
it was a small. My graduating class, I think, was like 72 kids.
Wow.
So like they accepted me, like my brother's grade, they accepted me there because like they also had siblings in my grade and the grades below. So they didn't care. They're like, oh, that's Daniel's younger brother. Yeah. You're good, bro. We got you. Like helped me understand classes, friends. I really appreciate those guys because they didn't have to do that.
Yeah.
They didn't really know my story either. They just, because to be honest, what I realized is that visually it's not that apparent until like you really get into movements and like lifts, like benching. That's why that's part of the reason why I didn't really go in the weight room because I didn't really want to bench in front of everyone and looking at me like I was crazy. I'm like, but they just accept me like every other kid, and I couldn't be more thankful for them.
This is a fascinating journey. What have you learned along this journey about yourself?
Those kids' toys, you have to put a shape or like a rectangle or something into a square hole.
Yeah.
I think I was trying so hard.
It's a good analogy, man.
To force that rectangle into a triangular hole. And I think that's probably the best way I could put it. I just kept trying to be like my brother. He was the closest person. He's probably the closest person I am to.
Yeah.
And I'd always, like I said, I'd always compete with him, but I wasn't really becoming my own person. I think I was just trying to become a knockoff. At the rate I was going is just becoming a knockoff version of him, because he's able to do the things that he's able to do because he is him. He's Daniel Adebi. I'm able to do the things that I can do because I'm Emmanuel Adebi, and that's the way God made me. It took me forever to understand that because, like I said, he went to MIT, and I applied to MIT just to the thought process literally was, I'll make it easier on my parents to when they go pick us up for the summers, we're both in the same place, so they don't have to drive to different places. And didn't really think about it. Like I liked part of the topics that I was studying, but like I would have ended up doing the same thing he did, going to MIT, doing computer science, and then not even really played football that much. And it took me getting deferred and then eventually rejected from MIT to be like, oh, so I actually have to think for myself.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, because I played football because he did, I played basketball because he did, I went into engineering because he did, but I knew I liked just slightly different things than that. So I went into electrical and computer engineering, and he went into computer science. So I knew I'd be like, I thought I could be like a compliment to him. We could like maybe start a business or something, with our knowledge, combine our knowledge or something like that.
Yeah.
But I was not thinking critically at all when it came to applying to colleges. But because the schools I applied to, none of them were guaranteed that I would have gotten in.
Right. But what was the hardest part of your story, the actual hard part of this that, we who now is inspired by your story didn't get a chance to see?
A lot of it was definitely the self-confidence issues. I almost always wore like long sleeves or hoodies. I I didn't really put myself out there. Like I said, I didn't get any like really like, social media until I got to my senior year of college. Like, I didn't get Twitter until I hit the portal in my senior year at Cornell. I didn't even get Instagram until about like a year ago, from even like 8 months ago. Actually.
Man, you sound like us old people now. Us old guys. We MySpace and all that. You were stayed away from it all. But I'm sure that was probably big for your own personal growth and not having that external pressure. I mean, because it is a lot of pressure now that your athletes have to go through with having that external pressure. And so not having it early on probably really, really solidified your foundation.
Yeah. And I struggled with asking if I really belonged. Because that imposter syndrome, I mean, it attacks a lot of people at Cornell, to be honest. It attacks a lot of people at a lot of really high echelon schools, Vanderbilt as well. But I struggled asking if I belonged, both in the classroom and in football as well. Going into my sophomore year, I'm looking at my teammates. I'm like, yeah, I was the largest on my team, and I was barely like 220. So coming into a football team, a Division I football team, and seeing
some big bodies.
Yeah, some big people. I'm like, whoa. And then going to the weight room too, I was like, what do you mean you guys have been doing this since high school? Like, that just didn't comprehend to me.
Yeah.
So it came to like halfway through the season, and I'm talking with my D-line coach, and I'm like, what am I doing? What is it that I can do better? Because I'm doing extra meetings. I know the playbook. Playbook was not even close to an issue. And I'm wondering, like, what is it that's setting everyone else apart? Because guys in my class were playing, guys in the class below me. I'm like, am I just bad? Like, if I am, please just tell me and like let me know what I can fix. But he told me, he was like, there were some things I need to work on, but I just don't trust you on the field with the way your arm is. And
how did that make you feel, man, when the coach tell you, like, you doing all this, you working your tail off, and then all of a sudden he just says it's because of your arm?
I was pissed. Rightfully so, but I was like, I'm not leaving until I step on the field. I think it was because it was something I couldn't control, like understanding that I can't control everything.
Right.
Because I thought I could handle everything by myself, that I could really do it all alone. And I think football is the greatest sport to teach that you really can't. You can't even start a play without the center as a QB. So it was funny, but because like the next week or so, that's when unfortunately my teammate tore his ACL, but I came for him on field goal block, and like my second play in on the field goal block, I blocked a field goal. And after that game, my offensive coach just came up to me and were like, "Do you want to play? Because we have an opening on the tight end." I'm like, "Yes,
yeah. Put me in, coach.
Put me in. I really don't care where I have to play." And that in itself, that took off because I started blocking. I stayed on D-line or stayed on field goal block and blocked more kicks. I ended up blocking a 7 at Cornell. Then I got another one here at Vandy this past year. And so special teams has been my way on. And I've been telling a lot of kids, I'm like, y'all really don't like special teams, but it is
a way in.
Exactly. That special teams coach on the NFL roster holds like 32 roster spots when it comes to the active roster.
Yeah.
So
you hear, guys, hey, this man, he's get me in. I play special teams. I do.
I play punt. I've done field goal block. I can do everything. Like, just let me on.
Yeah. I don't know if you've thought about this, but when you think about the word adversity and you think about how you've used your adversity for fuel, what do you think separates people who actually get stuck and not willing to push themselves to get through that adversity?
I know people like to use it as motivation, but to be honest, I harbored like no ill will to my D-line coach. When you understand that there's a bigger picture at hand being painted by God, you start to let go of the drastic feelings that you like of hatred towards certain situations because you understand that there's a higher purpose.
When you think about identity, you hear it all the time where athletes have that struggle with transition because of their identity has been wrapped in football. But in your case, how have your identity been shaped when you think about all the things you've gone through?
My identity wasn't always in sports, but it also wasn't always in academics. And I think that played a part in me just being able to play free, but it also played a part in me not really understanding whether I was accepted or not, because I was like, well, I feel like I'm in both groups, but I'm also in neither group.
Yeah.
Because I'm not sure if they accept me as a football player because I'm not playing. I'm not sure if they accept me in the classroom because I'm not doing the same things that they're doing in terms of just extracurriculars, and because I know there are a lot of people that have resentment towards athletes, a lot more so now than before.
Yeah, now the money's involved.
Exactly. But I remember like there were some students who were just like, they would never try to partner with athletes. They'd never try to talk with them. Like I said, my friend group, I've been blessed with the people I've been around just strictly because like I love those people. They love me, and I couldn't be more grateful to them and to God that God put them in my life, because I didn't really face many of those people that didn't like athletes. I guess I might be a bit intimidating, so I didn't really want to say that to my face. But
as I start to think about the different intangibles that really like solidify things for you, what do you think the most underrated intangibles that people don't really think about when you're going through this type of adversity?
It was the foundation that God gave me through my parents, because the first and almost like only thing they really told us was like money is going to fade away. You could spend every dollar, you can lose every dollar, and everything in your possession can lose its value, and like we could end up being broke and homeless on the street just like that. But the one thing we can give you is God. Like we can teach you about him. We can't give you a relationship. Like you have to build that relationship with him. But like we Like my parents, they helped us to understand at a very early age, and that's all they harp on, that all that really matters is your relationship with God. So having that foundation, especially early on, understanding that it's God that orders my steps, and yeah, there are going to be tough times and things are going to hurt. But like I said, understanding that God's painting a larger picture helps you to realize that there's going to be some hardship, but it'll end.
Well, man, I mean, your story is just so tremendous to accomplish what you've accomplished. But it's not done yet.
Absolutely
You know,
not.
the draft is around the corner, so I know that there's a lot of anxiety around that. What are you hoping for? What are you hoping that, when the draft comes around, free agency and all that come around, and we start to look forward to, summer ball, the end of July when training camp start. What's your hope?
I'm praying God puts you on the right team. Uh, I can really get plugged into, especially with the word, because that was a huge part of when it came to transferring to Vandy. Just understanding the faith uh, that the team had, and that I could really get plugged into. Uh, like understanding, like faith and discipline with that. That was a large part. So I I want to get. I'm praying that I get plugged into a team, the right team that God wants me to be on, where I could share my story, or have someone share a story with me that could change my life for the better, or could use me as a point of contact.
Yeah.
Um, like I said, learning that a lot of these things, all of it now is completely out of my hands.
Yeah.
It is up to
Yeah.
God, and it's up to God and where He puts me. So might not even get drafted next week.
Yeah.
Might not even get signed as undrafted free agent. God has a plan, and I'm gonna trust that.
Well, if you had to think about, um, you know, talking to a coach or talking to a GM that's looking at your situation as a hindrance, what would you say to them? You going through these interviews, you have having conversations. What would you want them to know?
I've taken advantage of every opportunity that God's given me, and I will make sure to do the same wherever else I go. And you'll see the fruit that I leave behind.
Do you think you have the staying power to be a 10-year vet? Because when I watch your film and I watch you play. I believe you could be a 10-year vet in the NFL. So, do you believe that you can play and have that kind of
Absolutely.
longevity?
Oh my goodness, absolutely. Absolutely do believe that I can be a 10-year, 15-year vet.
Well, man, as I start to think about wrapping up the show, man, I'm just so impressed by the commitment, the stubbornness, the work that you've put in to get to where you are, man. And so it makes me think about if you had to go back and talk to your younger self, before Cornell, before Vandy, the challenges that you've gone through, what would you say to him? What would you say to Emmanuel?
Be yourself. Stop
Mm.
trying to be like everyone else. No one else was made to be you but you. So be you, because you can't be everyone else. They're already taken.
If you had to think about and give me a couple of intangibles that truly has made you who you are today, what would those in couple intangibles be outside of your faith?
And then we talk about my stubbornness. Like I won't give up. you, you can try to kick me out. You can
Yeah.
try to. I'm not giving up. I'm gonna find. I'm gonna claw. I'm gonna scratch. Like if I can't walk, if I can't run, I'll walk. If I can't walk, I'll crawl. If I can't crawl, you're gonna see me just flounder around until I get to where I need to go. That's something you can't teach. That hunger, that's always been in me, and I won't let it go.
I really appreciate you coming and sharing your story here with the Intangible Podcast, man. I hope this inspire other people, young kids and young athletes who are, faced with adversity, have that mindset of not giving up and continue to push through. but also making sure that the foundation stays strong with your support, and not letting it, not letting it take over you. And so, dude, I'm cheering for you, man. I'm excited for you. I think you got big things in your future, whether it's football or in the real world. I truly believe that you're going to be super successful in whatever you do. But I'm looking forward to watching you play on Sunday, my friend.
Thank you. Thank you. It's been a blessing to be on this podcast. It's been a blessing to talk to you. And I guess the last thing I want to say is like, just don't be afraid to ask for help. That's one thing I definitely struggled with growing up in terms of also being myself. Like I was afraid of being exposed.
Yeah.
Don't be afraid to ask for help. It you only got this one life.
Right.
If you just let it drift by and go, you won't get another chance. So just ask for help.
Well, you heard it here. Man, this has been a great show, man. I really appreciate your time, and look forward to, like I said, seeing you playing on Sunday, and not look forward to you being on a stage and sharing your story with other kids that who is looking for hope, man. So let's go get it now. It's go time.
Thank you.